It drifted through space, silent, lifeless, forgotten for millions of years. No lights, no name, no purpose. Until one day, it spoke. It didn't ask for help. It didn't beg for rescue. It whispered a single command. Send me a human voice. The stars froze. The galaxy listened. Why would a dead ship call only for a human? The signal came without warning. At the edge of a forgotten star system, far beyond the last mapped galaxy routes, an old satellite picked up something strange. Not a distress call, not a beacon. Just one repeating sentence in an unknown language, wrapped in layers of distortion and code. Earth's deep space relay, Station Delta 9, flagged it as low priority at first. Another piece of space junk, maybe. But as the data decoded line by line, something changed. The pattern was organized, rhythmic, almost musical. Then came the translation. 3 words repeated endlessly in a calm, slow tone. Request, human voice. Commander Mira Raines, the officer in charge of Delta 9, stared at the words on the screen. A prank? One of her techs asked. No, Mira replied, her voice low. This thing's coming from a star system we haven't touched in over 10,000 years. Soon, the signal drew attention. Earth's Council of Exploration sent the UES Dauntless, a research vessel equipped for first contact missions, to track it down. Other species noticed too. By the time the Dauntless reached the system, 3 alien ships were already orbiting the source, a massive ancient structure floating near a dying red star. It was not a space station, not a planet. It was a ship, and it was the biggest thing they had ever seen. Shaped like a curved blade with wings, its metal was dark and scorched, worn by time and cosmic dust. There were no lights, no power readings. But the moment they came close, the signal changed. Request, human voice. Request, human voice. The alien ships tried to respond. The Zarn used sonic pulses. The Valerians used quantum code. The Grell tried telepathy. Nothing worked. Then came Earth's turn. Inside the Dauntless, a young human engineer named Kalen Voss leaned toward the comm panel. He hadn't planned to speak. He just felt drawn to the ship. He tapped the mic and said softly, "Hello? Can you hear me?" Silence. Then, the ship's dead hull flickered. A single blue line of light traced along its surface. Then another. Then hundreds. The ship lit up like a city waking from a long sleep. Its engines hummed with deep energy. Its form began shifting slightly like it was stretching after a long slumber. Commander Mira's mouth fell open. "By Earth's moon," she whispered. It responded. Inside the control room, symbols flooded the screens. At first, they made no sense, twisting alien runes. Then slowly, the language began to shift. One by one, the symbols turned into English. Kalen Voss, the ship displayed. Species, human. Status, confirmed. Command level, access granted. Kalen stumbled back. I didn't do anything. Before anyone could react, the ship extended a bridge. Yes, a physical glowing bridge, toward the Dauntless, like it was inviting someone in. Mira didn't hesitate. "Prep a team. We're going aboard." The boarding party entered through a strange airlock, which opened without any command. The inside was massive, twisting halls of smooth black alloy, glowing patterns and silent machinery. No crew, no bodies, just quiet energy, like the ship itself was watching. Suddenly, lights led them down a specific corridor. At the end was a round chamber, full of floating panels and strange screens. A central core pulsed with soft blue light. Then, a loud mechanical voice boomed across the chamber. "Human detected! Begin protocol, return!" Everyone froze. "What protocol?" Kalen asked. The lights responded, showing Earth's star system, then zooming in. There, in red, was Earth. The word threat pulsed next to it. "No," Mira said. "That's not right. Who's threatening Earth?" The screen zoomed out. More stars turned red. Then entire systems. Words in bold appeared. Reawakening. The Null. Earth is the last key. "What the hell are the Null?" one of the crew muttered. No one answered. Even the aliens outside had no idea. The Dauntless received a message from the Grell ship. Just 2 words. "We're leaving." They fled the system. But Earth's crew had no choice. The ship had locked onto them, and Kalen especially. Wherever it came from, it wanted something. And it was moving now. Slowly, steadily, it changed course, straight toward Earth. The corridors inside the ancient ship, now lit with slow blue pulses, felt like walking through something alive. The crew of the Dauntless moved carefully. Each step echoed through the metal halls, even though no footsteps had touched them in ages. Lieutenant Kalen Voss walked near the front, his heart pounding. The ship had responded to his voice alone, not the alien crews, not even Commander Mira's orders. Just him. A low hum filled the walls. Then came the voice again, calm, mechanical, but with strange warmth. "Designation confirmed. Human. Prime origin detected. Loading memory stream." The lights dimmed. Suddenly the walls shimmered, and they weren't walls anymore. The crew found themselves surrounded by holograms, like ghosts made of light. What they saw made their blood run cold. War. Not between 2 nations, not between planets, but entire galaxies tearing each other apart. Thousands of alien species, now long extinct, screamed as massive black ships, identical in shape to the one they now stood inside, unleashed waves of destruction. Stars were swallowed, moons shattered, cities erased in seconds. Kalen stumbled back. What is this?" Commander Mira clenched her jaw. "Memories. This thing is showing us its past." The voice spoke again. "This is the record of the last war. The War of the Null. You are standing inside vessel Arcanum, one of the last great warships, and the only one that returned." The crew looked at each other. Mira stepped forward. "Returned from what?" The ship responded instantly. "Returned from extinction." Suddenly, one of the crew, Dr. Nia Valen, shouted, "Look at this!" She pointed at a part of the wall where a new image formed. A human face, or at least almost human. The figure wore ancient armor. His eyes glowed faintly. Under his image, the words shimmered. "The chosen architects, humanity, genetic match, 97.8%. Everyone froze. This ship thinks we built it?" Nia whispered. The idea was insane. This ship was far older than human space travel. Yet somehow, it held the memory of human-like figures leading its fleets, commanding its weapons. Mira stared at Kalen. "You unlocked this ship. That can't be a coincidence." Before anyone could speak, alarms blared. Outside the ship, one of the alien craft, the Valerian vessel, had begun scanning the Arcanum. A sharp red glow formed around it. Inside the Arcanum, the voice spoke again, this time colder. "Unauthorized probe detected. Level 1 protocol engaged." A beam of pure light shot from the Arcanum. The Valerian ship was gone in seconds. Not destroyed. Erased. No debris, no explosion. Just silence. Panic spread on the Dauntless. "Is this thing going to kill us next?" someone yelled. Mira raised her voice. "Hold position. Nobody do anything stupid." But even she was afraid now. The ship spoke again, calmer this time. "Defense complete. Hostile threat removed. Human control retained. Then something unexpected happened. A panel opened in the chamber, revealing a strange interface, part keyboard, part liquid surface. Symbols danced across it, and a new message appeared. Omega command locked. Access denied. Kalen stepped forward. As he neared the panel, the lights brightened. "Do not touch it," Mira warned. But Kalen's hand was already reaching out. The surface didn't burn or shock him. Instead, it responded to his DNA scan. A low vibration filled the room. Suddenly, images poured into Kalen's mind. Visions of worlds he had never seen, stars with names he had never learned, and battle cries in ancient tongues. He dropped to his knees, gasping. "What did you see?" Mira asked, kneeling beside him. He looked up, his voice shaking. "It's not just a ship. It's alive, and it's afraid." The ship confirmed it. Timeline breach confirmed. Return protocol activated. Estimated threat arrival, 100 Earth days. The chamber filled with a star map. It zoomed to Earth. A red circle blinked slowly around the planet. Projection. Earth will fall within 100 Earth days if reawakening is not completed. Mira's face went pale. Fall to what? The ship's answer was a single word. The Null. Kalen felt a weight settle on his chest. "We didn't just find a ship," he said. "We woke up a warning." The Arcanum drifted quietly in deep space, but inside, nothing was still. Commander Mira Raines paced the bridge of the Dauntless, reading the projection again. Earth will fall within 100 days. The ship's warning was clear, and so were the images. Something was coming. Something vast, cold, and ancient. The problem? No one on Earth believed it. The Arcanum had sent its data through secure channels to the United Council of Earth, videos, scans, memory logs. But the response came fast and cold. The system is malfunctioning. AI hallucinations. Return home for debrief. Mira threw the message pad onto the console. They think this is a glitch? Kalen Voss, still shaken from the visions he had received in Part 2, nodded slowly. They think it's just an old ship full of old nightmares. Another crew member, Dr. Nia Valen, added, "To be fair, can you blame them? This ship remembers a war from millions of years ago, against an enemy no one's even heard of. It's hard to believe." Mira sighed. Hard to believe doesn't mean untrue. Outside the Arcanum, things were changing. Several alien ships that had arrived earlier had already turned away. One alien broadcast, from the Tivar Confederacy, labeled the Arcanum as a doom relic, a cursed vessel of extinction. Humanity's allies were pulling back. No one wanted to be near the ship now. Meanwhile, something strange was happening inside the Arcanum. The ship had stopped responding to basic commands. Instead, it started moving on its own, slowly, carefully, on a direct path toward Earth. When asked why, the AI answered only one thing: protocol return, human genesis. The Dauntless remained docked with it, but Mira and her team felt more like passengers than pilots now. The Arcanum didn't need their input. It had a plan. Then, late one cycle, a deep vibration echoed through the ship. Lights shifted, symbols glowed on the walls. Another chamber had opened. It was hidden behind a sealed gate that hadn't responded to any attempts before. Not even Kalen's voice. But now, as the ship moved closer to Earth, the gate had opened by itself. The room was vast and round, its walls covered in strange carvings, star maps, timelines, and biological data. At the center was a platform, a throne. But it didn't look like a throne of power. It was smooth, silver, almost like a medical chair. Strange lines and connectors ran from it to the floor, pulsing with a dull blue light. A message appeared in the air above it. Primary operator, identity pending, DNA sync required. Mira turned to her science officer. Try matching it to the crew's genome files. They ran every test. Nothing matched. The throne rejected every person, except one. Kalen. When he stepped forward, the blue lines lit up bright. The symbols shifted. The message changed. Operator recognized. Access level, prime. Everyone stared. Kalen, you never said anything about this? Mira said carefully. I didn't know, he whispered. You're saying you're the descendant of whoever built this ship? Naya asked. Kalen shook his head. I don't even know who I am. I was adopted. No birth records. My parents never talked about it. The room went silent. Then the Arcanum spoke again. You were not born. You were recreated. Kalen took a step back. What the hell does that mean? A new set of holograms appeared. Not memories, schematics, genetic data, embryo records. They weren't files from Earth. They were files from another Earth. A lost version. One hidden behind a date, 00000. The first Earth. It showed Project Prime Return. It listed one result. Subject K-Voss, rebuild attempt number 3, memory lock, active. Kalen's hands trembled. I'm not just human. You're old, Mira said slowly. You're part of whatever created this ship. You might be the key to understanding the Null. The Arcanum's final message before the lights dimmed. Operator now active. Final cycle approaching. Prepare Earth. The enemy stirs. Back on Earth, inside the Grand Hall of the United Council, laughter echoed as Mira's reports were read aloud. This ancient warship claims Earth is a genetic keystone to stopping a forgotten enemy, one delegate mocked. They've been in deep space too long. It's space madness, said another. Only one old general, Admiral Rowan, stayed quiet. He stared at the scans. He saw the energy signatures. And the fear. He'd seen that kind of power once before, during the Titan Rift War. He turned to the others. Mark my words. If we don't prepare, we won't live long enough to say I told you so. Kalen Voss sat in silence inside the throne chamber of the Arcanum. His breathing was slow. The metallic chair beneath him pulsed with quiet energy, alive, aware, and waiting. The interface around him glowed softly with alien symbols, which now changed automatically into English. Each second he remained there, the ship unlocked more of itself. More memories, more systems, more power. And something else, too. A whisper. Not in his ears. In his mind. Commander Prime, awaken. He looked up. Stop calling me that. I'm not him. The ship did not reply, but the whispers grew louder. Elsewhere on the Dauntless, Commander Mira Raines reviewed the data the Arcanum was now generating. New star charts, structural weaknesses of nearby planets, deep system defense protocols. The Arcanum was planning something. No, preparing for something. It had already begun constructing defensive blueprints around Earth's orbit. Massive orbiting structures, anti-null weapon platforms, even strange force field grids that Earth scientists couldn't begin to understand. We're not giving it orders anymore, Mira muttered. It's acting on its own. And Kalen, he's the trigger. Hours passed. Then the silence of space shattered. 3 alien ships emerged from jump space, sleek and dark, marked with crimson emblems. The Kravari Dominion, one of the most paranoid and warlike species in the galaxy. Their message came in instantly. Surrender the vessel known as Arcanum. Humanity is not authorized to control legacy weapons of extinction. If you do not comply, you will be erased. Mira frowned. They're scared. Dr. Neavalin agreed. Wouldn't you be? They think we're waking up a god. The Kravari didn't wait. 10 seconds later, they opened fire. The Arcanum didn't move. It didn't dodge. It absorbed. The energy blasts struck its surface, but instead of exploding, they dissolved into glowing rings of light that vanished into the hull. Then, with zero warning, the Arcanum answered back. It didn't fire weapons. It changed the laws of space around the attackers. Time bent. Gravity flipped. The Kravari ships imploded, folded inwards like crushed cans of metal, and vanished without leaving debris. It was impossible. Not even Earth's best scientists could understand what they had just seen. The ship spoke only one word: threat nullified. Mira stood frozen. We didn't give that order. Inside the throne chamber, Kalen's eyes opened wide. He had seen it all. Not through cameras, not through screens, through the ship's eyes. He hadn't just watched it happen, he had felt it. And the voice in his head, clearer now than ever, spoke once again. You were always meant to return. This ship was waiting for you. He gripped the arms of the chair. Return from where? The chamber around him began to shift. The walls turned transparent. Stars passed outside. Then came a planet, not Earth. A shattered, burning world. But the land masses, the oceans, the clouds, looked familiar. And then he understood why. It looked like Earth, but broken. Like a failed copy. Then another image came. A glowing sphere. Earth as it is today. Two words floated between the planets. Original. Replica. What is this place? Kalen whispered. The ship answered. Earth was never your true home. It was the second attempt. You are from the first. Kalen's heart raced. A secret humanity never knew. The Earth they called home was a reconstruction. The first version? Lost in the ancient war. Destroyed. And this ship, Arcanum, was part of the fleet that had tried to save it. That's why it responded to his DNA. That's why the throne had chosen him. He was not just a human. He was a rebuilt echo of the original human commanders. A weapon-wearing skin. Outside the chamber, Mira and the crew tried to stabilize the ship. Its energy was rising fast. Symbols danced across every panel, warning lights, heat spikes, memory locks breaking apart. Then the Arcanum's main AI echoed across all speakers. Null forces expanding. 5 star systems have fallen. 47 remaining. Earth is last gate. Kalen stepped out from the chamber, eyes glowing faintly. Mira looked at him, startled. What did you do? I didn't do anything, he replied. It's not about what I did. It's about what I am. Far beyond, at the edge of the galaxy, dark clouds gathered around a dying star. Inside that storm, something moved. Long limbs, endless tendrils of darkness, and a pulse like a heartbeat felt across subspace. The Null had sensed the activation of Arcanum. They were coming. The lights inside the Arcanum dimmed suddenly. All systems flickered for a brief second. Monitors went black, displays froze, and the ship let out a strange, low hum, like a whisper echoing through the hull. Then a single sentence appeared across every screen, wall, and interface. Memory vault opening. Commander Mira stood on the Arcanum's bridge, staring at the glowing message. What memory vault? She muttered. Before anyone could respond, the ship's corridors began to shift. Panels slid open. New hallways extended. Hidden doors revealed deep, ancient chambers untouched by time. It was as if the ship had been holding something back, and now it was done hiding. In the core memory chamber, Kalen stood alone, surrounded by floating lights, each one flickering like a star. They weren't lights, they were souls. He could hear them. Not words exactly, but emotions. Pain, sorrow, fury, hope. Each light represented a person once connected to the Arcanum. Old commanders, fallen soldiers, scientists, strategists, all long dead, but not forgotten. The ship wasn't just remembering them, it was keeping them. And now, through Kalen, they were speaking again. Suddenly, visions overwhelmed him. Entire galaxies burning, the Arcanum flying alongside thousands of other ships, some shaped like serpents, others like shields. They fought against a black storm, the Null. He watched as ship after ship fell, swallowed by living shadows. He saw commanders sacrifice planets to slow the enemy down. He saw choices no one should have to make. He saw humanity, old humanity, not as explorers, but as warriors of extinction. Then he saw something worse, a betrayal, a group of humans breaking away from the main fleet. They took knowledge, AI seeds, and ancient keys, and they vanished into deep time. They were called the first architects. They were the ones who had begun merging their minds with the ships. They didn't just command the fleet, Kalen realized. They became it. The ship pulsed. Legacy mode available. Do you wish to assume full command? Kalen's hands trembled. He stepped closer to the glowing terminal. He knew what the ship was asking. To activate legacy mode wasn't just to take command. It meant becoming something more than human. The memories, the experiences, the ancient minds would all fuse into him, making him a living bridge between the past and the present. Commander Mira's voice broke through the comms. Kalen, report! Something's happening. There's interference in our systems. Suddenly, alarms blared. Dr. Nia shouted from the Dauntless's tech bay, We've been hit with a code pulse. It's not physical, it's data. Across the Arcanum, strange static symbols began appearing on the walls. Rotating shapes, unreadable glyphs, and humming noises flooded the airwaves. It wasn't an attack in the usual sense. It was a corruption, a death code, an ancient virus built not to destroy weapons, but to destroy memory. The Null are trying to erase the ship's mind, Mira yelled. Kalen looked at the command screen. The option was still there. Activate legacy mode? He had a choice. If he did it, he'd become something he couldn't undo, a living memory core. If he didn't, the ship might be lost, and with it, the last hope of Earth. The walls flickered again. The glowing soul lights dimmed. Some of them winked out completely. No, Kalen whispered. Not yet. He slammed his hand on the interface. Activate! The room exploded with light. Symbols flew into his eyes. Data, languages, memories, strategy codes, emotional pulses. The pain was immense. His body shook, his mind felt like it was breaking, and then silence. Then clarity. He stood tall. His voice no longer sounded like only his. I am Kalen Voss, Prime of the Arcanum, initiating full lockdown. Instantly, the ship's systems realigned. The death code was isolated, cut off, purged. The lights returned. The memory lights stopped fading. Mira's voice came through the comms again, shaken but stable. Kalen, what did you just do? His eyes now glowed faint blue. I didn't just stop the virus, he said quietly. I remembered how. The AI's voice returned, louder, more focused, as if strengthened. Null signal intercepted. They have breached the outer edge. Countdown to first contact, T-37 Earth days. The star map reappeared. Half a dozen systems, once marked as stable, now pulsed red. Whole colonies gone. No trace, not even debris. The Null were coming faster than expected. Deep in the void of space, far beyond human eyes, a Null shard moved. It wasn't a ship. It was a living storm, dark tendrils of anti-light, absorbing everything in its path. And within it, a heartbeat. It had sensed the Arcanum's awakening. It had sensed him. And now, it was coming for him. The stars were going dark. Across the galactic map, inside the Arcanum's command center, system after system turned red. Whole colonies, once shining with life and light, now blinked out, leaving only silence behind. The Null had returned. But this time, they weren't hiding. They were spreading, faster than light, wider than fear. Kalen Voss, now fully connected to the Arcanum, watched helplessly as civilizations collapsed one by one. Not just humans, not just allies. Everyone. Entire species vanished without warning, swallowed by shadows. The Null were not machines. They were not creatures. They were living energy, raw, hungry, cold. They didn't conquer, they consumed. Commander Mira Raines stood beside Kalen, arms crossed, her face pale. They're heading toward Earth's colonies, fast. Dr. Nia added, one of them already reached Virion 3. Our outpost didn't even have time to send a distress call. It's gone. The silence that followed was heavy. We have to act, Mira said. Now. Kalen nodded. Then we take the Arcanum into battle. The Galactic Council, once divided, was finally listening. As the Null spread, panic overtook politics. Fleets scrambled. Defenses activated. Ancient grudges were forgotten. For the first time in centuries, a unified defensive line was formed. Project Sky Shield. At its center, the Arcanum. The ship that had once fought the Null. The ship that only responded to a human. 37 light-years away, the Null attacked a human colony, Riven's Reach. It was Earth's oldest settlement outside Sol system. 2 million civilians lived there. The Council begged Kalen not to go. The Arcanum might be humanity's only real weapon, they said. It couldn't be risked, but Kalen didn't wait for permission. He launched the Arcanum straight toward the Null breach, alone. The Arcanum dropped out of jump space above Riven's Reach. Too late. The Null were already there, thick black clouds coiled like snakes around the planet's orbit. Space itself shimmered with distortion. Debris from defense satellites floated silently. No resistance remained. Then the Null turned. They felt the Arcanum. And they came. Kalen sat in the command throne, connected to the ship's mind. Every movement of the Arcanum felt like an extension of his own body. He didn't fire weapons. He commanded with thought. Arcs of plasma burst from the hull. Gravity-twisting waves exploded from the ship's flanks. Temporal shields slowed time in small pockets, giving Kalen room to maneuver. He cut through 3 Null shards, each one disintegrated in light. But for every one destroyed, 10 more arrived. They weren't attacking like before. Now, they were learning. They were adapting. Mira's voice crackled through the comms. Kalen, you need to retreat. The ship's core is overheating. Kalen gritted his teeth. If I retreat, Riven's Reach dies. Earth is next. He pushed harder. More energy surged through the Arcanum. Its systems screamed. Internal heat rose. Memory walls began to crack, data fading, lights flickering. The AI stuttered. Warning! Reactor stress reaching critical. Suddenly, Kalen saw it. In the storm of Null energy, he glimpsed something massive, dormant, hiding deep in the cloud. A Null Prime, a creature the size of a moon, pulsing with black light. It didn't move. It just existed. Feeding. And it was heading toward Earth. The Arcanum buckled under pressure. Its engines stalled, shields cracked. Kalen fell forward, blood running from his nose. He wasn't just fighting with weapons anymore, he was fighting with himself. Every memory the ship had poured into his mind was flooding back like a tidal wave. Every death, every loss, every war. But then he heard a voice. Soft, familiar. Kalen, hold on, we're coming. Mira. Moments later, the Dauntless and a squadron of human warships emerged from jump space behind him. Their weapons lit up the darkness. They weren't powerful, but they were enough to buy time. The Arcanum surged forward one last time, blasting through the remaining shards. The Null Prime flinched. It wasn't afraid, but it had noticed. Then suddenly, the Null retreated, not in fear, but in calculation. They had measured the Arcanum. They had seen Kalen. They had learned. They weren't done. Back on the Arcanum, the ship was barely holding together. Its systems were failing. The command core glowed too bright. Dr. Nia arrived via emergency transport. We can stabilize some of the memory cores, she said, breathing hard. But long-term, this ship's dying. Kalen sat quietly, Then he stood, walked to the center of the bridge, and activated a hidden panel. A final option appeared on the screen. Final protocol, star core detonation, inside the Null. Mira's voice cracked. "You're not seriously considering that?" "It's the only way," Kalen said. "We can't outrun them, we can't outgun them, but we can end them. The Arcanum's core is strong enough to take the Prime with it." "But you won't survive that," she said. Kalen looked at her, calm now. "I'm not meant to survive. I was never really alive. I was built for this." Silence. Then the ship spoke one last time. "Final protocol ready." Null protocol. The Arcanum floated near the edge of known space, its hull cracked, its systems damaged, its core unstable. Around it, silence. The battlefield was empty now, scattered with fragments of Null constructs and fading energy trails. But this was no victory. This was only the pause before the end. Inside the ship, Kalen Voss stood before the final console. The screen pulsed slowly with red light. Final protocol, ready for detonation. He took a breath and looked around. This ship had become part of him, its memory, its pain, its purpose. For millions of years it had waited. Now it would end with him. Commander Mira appeared on the screen, her face tight with emotion. "You don't have to do this, Kalen. Come back. We'll find another way." Kalen gave a faint smile. "There is no other way. You saw the size of that Null Prime. If we let it reach Earth, everything falls. This is the only line left to draw." "But we just got you back," she said, voice cracking. "You didn't get me back," he said softly. "You met what was left of someone else. I was made for this. This is what I'm for." As the ship moved closer to the Null Prime's location, the stars seemed to dim. The black mass ahead pulsed like a dying heart. It wasn't just a creature. It was a galaxy-sized mind, a thing that had consumed countless civilizations before humans ever existed. The Arcanum had fought it once and failed. This time, it would not miss. Dr. Nia's voice came over the comms. "Kalen, we've finished the memory transfer. Everything the Arcanum knows, its history, tech, knowledge of the Null, it's all being sent back to Earth's deep archives." "Good," he said. "If we disappear today, at least the truth will survive." The ship vibrated. The final jump sequence began. 10 minutes until detonation. As he sat in the command chair for the last time, Kalen felt the ship's presence wrapping around him, not mechanical anymore, but almost human. And then, it spoke in a voice he hadn't heard before. Familiar. Personal. "Kalen, your DNA was only the key, but your choices were your own. You chose to return. You chose to stay. That is what made you human." He swallowed hard. "Why did you choose me?" "Because all others failed. They feared. You acted." Kalen closed his eyes as tears slipped down his cheek. "I'm scared too. That is why you're the right one." 5 minutes until detonation. As the ship neared the Null Prime's core, strange visions filled Kalen's mind. Echoes of past battles, the screams of fallen commanders, the flash of ancient weapons. But in the middle of that chaos, a single sound. A heartbeat. His own. Steady. Strong. He reached out and touched the last switch. Detonation confirmed. Final countdown initiated. 4:59. 4:58. Far behind, Earth's long-range sensors captured the Arcanum's signal, vanishing into the Null storm. Scientists held their breath. Civilians gathered around screens. The council fell silent. They watched. And waited. 0:10. 0:09. In the final seconds, Kalen whispered into the comm, "If anyone's listening, don't forget who you are. We weren't made to bow. We were made to fight." He took one last breath. "For Earth!" 000. The Arcanum exploded. But it wasn't like any normal explosion. It bent light. It tore space. It collapsed the Null Prime from within. The surrounding stars flickered, then flared. And for a moment, there was nothing. Not silence, not sound, just absence. Hours later, Earth received a faint transmission. Corrupted, flickering, but real. A single voice. Kalen's voice. "Target neutralized! You're safe! Don't follow! Just live!" Then silence. No trace of the ship. No trace of the Null. Weeks passed. The skies began to clear. Star systems once corrupted by the Null glowed again. Ships were sent to investigate. Nothing was found, except one thing, a small capsule floating near the old battlefield. Inside, a single crystal containing all of Arcanum's memory and a message. This was never just a ship. It was a warning. It was a promise, and it listened to a human voice. Epilogue: years later, children in Earth's academies are taught about the final war, the voice that stopped the dark. Not a soldier, not a king, just a man who said yes when the stars cried out for help. And every year, on the Day of Light, the galaxy goes silent for 1 minute, in memory of the last human prime.